Another great way that you can use Microsoft Copilot for Power BI in terms of preparing and transforming your data for analysis is helping you overcome the hurdles that are brought on from DAX. So if you're new to Power BI, you might be learning how to write DAX. Copilot is there to help you get over that learning curve and just learn faster. So if you're one of the newest and latest features within Power BI is DAX Query View. So here's where you're able to basically build out your DAX queries. To firstly just query the data, but also to actually help you build measures into your model as well. So here we can see the model that I have that we're working on previously, and I can see that there are a number of fields already here. So we've got sales amount, total product costs. So there's a couple of measures fields in there at the moment. What I can do is actually ask Copilot, and again, this feature's in preview, but I can ask Copilot here to suggest me some measures of basically within the model. It will check through what fields we have and what measures it might want to add. So first thing I'll do is go through there and ask it to suggest me some measures. Now in the background, you can see what the prompt is that is actually written here. So define and evaluate measures not in my model and add a comment that explains what each measure does. So you can see here it's returned some a query here. So let me just scroll up slightly so we can see. So you can see the commentary, DAX query generated by Fabric Copilot with the define, and you can see the prompt that we used. So here it's defining the measures. So we've got a measure, fact sales, total sales. So these are measures that have been put into the fact sales table. We can see this one's created one for the total sales amount, average unit price. So these are creating measures based off the fields we have. And again, these are pretty self-explanatory. These are basically just using aggregations of the fields that we already have. And you can see here it's also created the query evaluate row so that you can run this and see what the values return at. So again, some of the interesting parts you can ask it to just retry. But some of the aspects I really enjoy is that you can ask it to explain this query, or even better, you can ask it to explain the DAX topics within this query. So I'm going to select this here. So um, just wait for Copilot to return that. DAX function sum is a very popular and frequently used function in DAX. Well, I mean that's quite self-explanatory. So um, let's change that slightly and let's pivot and ask it to explain what's going on within this query. Now this is great. This aspect is great to understand. Okay, well you've thrown out this result. What is actually happening here? So we can see here the DAX query you provided is defining four measures that evaluate them to return a single row of results. The define keyword is used to define the new measures. So again, this is helping you understand and also just the learning curve around how to use the DAX query editor. So this is great. I'm going to keep this query. So we've got this now added into our query editor. And I can see here there's also an option here to update the model. So if I am happy with these particular measures, I can actually go through and update the model to add these to our table. So you can see here on the right, it's actually adding total sales, it's adding these fields into as measures into our model. So um, this is great. I'm going to add these four here. We've already got this field here, so let's just change this slightly. We'll call it sum total. Cool. So we've added these here. Now I might want to pivot and do a slightly different query here. So I'm going to ask Copilot um, to create me a measure. So we've got costs, we've got sales, but I want to ask Copilot to help me create me a measure for profit. Now this is a simple calculation. It's just our total sales minus our costs, but I want to test how Copilot returns this. So we can see here it's come back with again it's defining that measure. So fact sales profit is the sum of sales amount minus the total product costs. So yeah, at first glance, this is great. This is pretty good. So I'm going to keep this and I'm going to add this to my model. Now, this is a very basic example, but you can start to understand how Copilot can help you build out some of those more complex measures. But again, you need to understand what it's doing when it's building this. But if you don't understand it, again, use Copilot to explain what it's done. So that's one aspect in just terms of creating these measures itself. Now, once you've created these measures, what's really interesting is that you can go through here and you can actually add descriptions. So I can ask Copilot to basically create a description of what these measures are. So again, if I'm sharing this with other people, then I'm able to create these descriptions just from the click of a button, so that people that are going to use this measure can understand this calculates profit by subtracting the total product cost from the sales amount. Brilliant. I can keep that, and it will add that towards the description to the model. So this is great. Just again, boosting the notes and the documentation that you have within your models, just with a click of a button. Another great way that you can leverage Copilot with it to help improve and enrich your semantic model is by leveraging it within your Q&A setup. So this is where you can actually import synonyms, build relationships as well within the data. So I've clicked into here and I can see across my all the different fields and tables that I've got within my model at the moment. And I can see here that I've already gone through and ask Copilot to suggest some alternatives here, and you can identify these by this particular logo here. So the source being Copilot, and it's from country region. It suggested things like territory, market, geographical area. So again, these might be synonyms that I want to add, and I'm going to use these suggestions from Copilot. So really good aspect there that you can use to help improve and enrich the data that you have there. And again, adding these synonyms is going to help Copilot when you're using it and publishing it within the service. As you kind of saw from the opening page as well, you can use these to build relationships within your data. So, for example, resellers are in cities. You can help add the logic and relationship. So, an example might be store sells items. So again, if that adding that relationship is going to help Copilot to understand how these points of data work within your data set. So here you see it's returned a number of relationship suggestions, like things like profit indicates how financially successful fact sales are, which is great adjective ways to build these relationships, and so Copilot understands how each of these variables affect each other. Again, really good way to enrich your data using Microsoft Copilot. These are just some of the ways that you can use Microsoft Copilot within Power BI to help you again prepare and transform your model and prepare your model for analysis.